Hi, I'm John Grace, and I want to thank you for taking the time to learn more about what we're doing at Enth. Before we get started, I should tell you that I began my career doing data science as a graduate student at the University of Chicago. Rather quickly, I found I was spending too much time on data and not enough on science. Enth is my attempt to radically alter how we locate, consume, and use data to make decisions. This video is one of a series of videos in which we introduce Enth and demonstrate Enth working with Apache Spark, with Spark's graph frames, and well, with all the data on the internet. If you like this video and want to learn more, check out those other videos. You can learn how to get started using Enth and join the conversation. So let's get started. Up on the screen, we're looking at a new type of analytic data science data access tool called Zeppelin. Zeppelin is a web-based notebook that enables interactive data analytics. Zeppelin is built around Spark, and both Spark and Zeppelin are projects in the Apache open source community. Spark is a fast general engine for big data processing, but Spark has no data. We're still required to write code to load data to make Spark work. Well, Enth does three interesting things. 1. Enth crawls networks, including private networks looking for data. Structured, open, elastic, relational, text, CSV. Enth doesn't download this data. Instead, Enth indexes the data. And although you can't see it, I'm using air quotes around the word indexes. 2. Enth uses these indexes as part of a machine learning process in which Enth creates an awareness of data. And 3, Enth uses this awareness of data to orchestrate the acquisition and transformation of data into Spark. In other words, Enth tells Spark where to find specific data and what to do with it. Enth is not a warehouse, repository, or lake for data. Enth is an n-dimensional awareness, or AI for data. N-dimensional, Enth, now you get it. In this video, we're going to do something really cool. I'm going to create a simple interactive visualization of corporate data live from the internet. For this video, we've exposed around 1 million business entities from our indexes, and we're going to create a dynamic graph database from that data. Graph databases are what Facebook and LinkedIn use to find your friends and acquaintances. Graph databases are also what Facebook and LinkedIn use to target advertising dollars and marketing messages. So thinking as a marketer or advertiser, dynamic graph databases built with public and private data could be a major disruption. As I mentioned, Zeppelin is a web-based notebook. I'm using a standard version 0.7. Within Zeppelin, I'm using Enth Spark, a product we built that connects an Enth instance to a Spark instance. In this case, we're connecting to our public-facing Enth instance. I'm going to start by importing a few libraries and connecting to Enth. Next, I'm going to run a pretty simple search for Octo Sushi. Octo Sushi is a restaurant in Seattle, and it has a great name. So Octo Sushi is a restaurant. It's in Seattle, Washington. And this is the NAICS code 722511. So that's a very simple graph database we built for Octo Sushi. Let's get a little more complicated one. This time we're going to go ahead and search for Mercedes-Benz. And Mercedes-Benz is obviously much more complicated than Octo Sushi. We begin to see how complicated these pictures can look. What we're looking for here is actually Mercedes-Benz USA from Montvale, New Jersey. So that is right here. So that is the car company that we know. What we're looking for next is really its NAICS code for car manufacturers, because we want to look at and sell our product to car manufacturers. So here we have the NAICS code for car manufacturers, 423110. And just as with Enth, you can really search for anything you want. In this case, again, it's going to be a pretty simple search, but I'm going to go ahead and search for 423110 for car manufacturers. And in this case, we begin to see some of the car manufacturers lining up here. So we got Ferrari, Hyundai, Mercedes, Ford, Peterbilt, from our collection of data. The next search is pretty interesting because it kind of gives us an insight into Enth's machine learning. In this case, we're searching for a law firm called Dykema Gossett. And Dykema Gossett has offices in several different cities. And what we found is in different cities, the name is spelled differently. This is Dykema Gossett. This is, if I could click on it, Dykema Gossett PLCC. And this is Dykema Gossett LPP. So Enth has not been able to connect these three sources together. What I want to talk about here a little bit is kind of the legend and what Enth is actually doing here. So we see the first entry in the legend has got a black dot for Enth. These are things that Enth has found that just have associations with something. So they're usually descriptions or codes that Enth hasn't been quite able to identify, and also addresses in this case. Merged has got a gray dot. The gray dots are things that Enth has identified as an entity. So in this case, phone number is something that Enth likes. Domain names, dykema.com. Cities, geographical locations. Those things are what Enth has confidence in and uses those to begin to build up its machine learning to be able to uniquely identify other things. So Enth is going through a slow, deliberative process of identifying knowable things and then being able to build models to confirm, something like that this Dykema Gossett is the same as this Dykema Gossett. So that's what Enth is doing here. The other thing we have in our legend is local. So this is something that I did. I added a local Enth instance, and I've dragged some local data into this graph. So I've built a custom graph of public data from the internet and private data from my CRM system. In this specific case, Enth has not been able to connect the clusters together, again because of the problem with the spelling and the sparsity of the data. But we can begin to see what Enth is trying to do. So my data was from the office of Dykema Gossett in Detroit, Michigan. And again, we have a phone number, but these other ones don't have phone numbers, and there's different cities. So Enth will continue searching for data, and soon it will be able to connect these three entities together through something other than scratching out the PLCC. We want a more hardcore way to connect these entities together, and that's what Enth is working on. So over time, we'll start to see the black dots turn into gray dots as Enth begins to understand more about what we're seeing here. Enth has done one more kind of interesting thing. Again, I searched for Dykema. The name of the company is Dykema Gossett, and Enth has also brought back to me the city of Gossett, Illinois, because Enth has already determined that there's a high association between Dykema and Gossett, and is basically presenting to me all the information that it knows about this entity. Again, it hasn't been able to connect the entities together because there's nothing to connect Gossett, Illinois to my other clusters of data. But again, this is a machine learning process that Enth is scanning these data sources, identifying what's a zip code, what's a NAICS code, and what's a company, what's a telephone number, and then building complex machine learning algorithms on that data to connect the dots. Okay, this last one is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and look again for a NAICS code for restaurants, 722511. And I'm also going to look for a specific zip code, which is in Seattle, 98122. So I'm looking for all the restaurants in a specific zip code. I'm going to try to kind of beat up my model a little bit here. So you got to be patient with me. But if we can get this to reorient itself, we suddenly get something that is really, really, really cool. All right, so here are my restaurants in 98122, Seattle, Washington. So we got Seattle, Washington. We have our NAICS code, and we've been able to cluster the data around its corporate structure. So here we have corporations, we have sole proprietors, and we have limited liability companies. So we can see we have about 25 or 30 limited liability companies. We have about 8 corporations, and we have 2 restaurants that are sole proprietorships. Now, if I had a product I was selling to restaurants, and I had a CRM system, and I was able to merge my private data in with public data, I would start to be able to see white dots for all the companies in my target zip code that were my customers. And if I used Enth's modeling, we could basically find the prospects that are most likely to purchase our product. And that really is, the major breakthrough we're able to see here is basically being able to dynamically enhance your data, to be able to model your data, and to be able to provide you prospects or targets, from that unique combination of data. That's pretty much what we have to show you here. I hope we showed you something interesting. If we piqued your interest, we do have other videos you might enjoy. Links are provided at enth.com. Enth is delivered on AWS via Docker and Rancher. Non-commercial or development use of Enth is generally free of charge. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. I hope